In the headlines, police confirmed 2 dead in Adamawa communal violence. 8 killed as bandits ambush Kukawa village in Wase local government area of Plateau State. JAMB sets 150 as cutoff mark for 2025 university admissions, 100 for polytechnics, others. On the foreign scene, Texas flood disaster death toll hits over as rescue operations continue. Hello and welcome to News Update on Trust TV. I am Mimuna Bagudu. Tension erupted in parts of Adamawa State in the early hours of Tuesday following a communal clash between the Shobo tribe of Shoa community and the Bachama tribe of Rigange community, both located in Lamoride local government area. The conflict reportedly started due to a dispute over farm land boundaries. Reports indicate that the confrontation turned violent, resulting in the tragic loss of 2 lives, 1 casualty from each side. In a statement to journalists in Yola, the spokesperson for the Adamawa State Police Command, SP Suleiman Ungroje, confirmed the incident and stated that investigations are ongoing to determine the immediate cause and the individuals responsible for escalating the situation. The police have assured residents that normalcy has been restored in both communities following the swift deployment of security personnel. And now to Plateau State, where at least 8 people have been confirmed dead following a deadly ambush on Kukawa village in Wase local government area of Plateau State. The attack, which occurred around 2:30 p.m. on Monday, was reportedly carried out by armed men suspected to be bandits. The attackers, believed to be members of a group known as Hulabe, arrived on motorcycles and initially claimed they were on a mission to combat criminal elements in the region. According to the village head, Ismail Isa Kukawa, the assailants, numbering over 300, deceived residents by posing as protectors, but soon began looting shops and firing shots into the air to despair the villagers, making away with goods and valuables worth millions of naira. The armed group reportedly fled into the nearby bush after the raid. While retreating, they killed 2 traders heading to the local market. The incident occurred in a volatile region bordering Bauchi, Gombe and Taraba state areas that have witnessed recurrent bandit attacks in recent months. Now, survivors of the Yelwata attack, currently sheltering at the temporary camp in Makadi's International Market, have rejected calls to return to their community, citing ongoing insecurity. Over 3,000 displaced persons fled to the camp following the June 13 coordinated attacks on Yelwata by suspected armed headers, which left about 200 people dead. During a visit to the camp on Sunday, it was observed that local traditional rulers and community stakeholders are pressuring residents to return amid concerns over the infiltration of the camp by non-indigenous displaced persons. One of the survivors, 41-year-old Uke Amos, said the situation prompted some camp residents to protest, insisting they will not return home until adequate security is guaranteed. On Saturday, some of the displaced persons gathered at the camp gate to express their stance, calling for safety assurances before considering a return. Speaking on the matter, the information officer of the State Emergency Management Agency, Tema Age, confirmed the traditional rulers' efforts, but noted the resistance from the displaced residents. Now, the Niger State Police Command, in collaboration with other security agencies, have rescued 35 kidnapped victims from suspected Boko Haram insurgents. The victims, including women and children, had been held captive for over a year and were reportedly being relocated to Yori in Kebbi State where they were intercepted. The suspects were moving through the Madaka-Makujeri Road after fleeing security clearance operations in the Brinungwari forest. Tactical police teams intercepted the vehicle conveying the victims and arrested the driver, identified as Yusuf Abdullahi of Brinungwari. Some of the victims had been dropped off to board another vehicle before being rescued. In a related operation in Aguara, security operatives intercepted additional victims, 5 women and 6 children, attempting to cross into Kebbi State via a river route. All the rescued victims were transferred to the Niger State Police headquarters in Mina for medical attention and further investigation. Now, the Anambra State Governor Charles Soludo says 99.9% of recent violent crimes in the state were committed by Igbos, not outsiders. Citing arrest data, he challenged the common narrative that blames Fulani herders for insecurity, sparking fresh debate on internal accountability.
I've been in office for three years and 3 months, okay? If we have arrested 100 criminals, non-mafia, kidnappers, and so on and so forth, 99.99% of them are Igbo. Did you hear me right? Yes. I said 99.99% of them are Igbo. So these things are unmerited because that was part of the lie that was put in propaganda.
The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAM, has pegged 150 as the minimum cutoff mark for admission into Nigerian universities for the 2025-2026 academic session. The announcement was made on Tuesday during the 2025 policy meeting on admissions held at the Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Conference Center in Abuja. According to JAM, stakeholders at the meeting, including heads of tertiary institutions, also approved 140 as the minimum cutoff mark for nursing colleges, while 100 was set for polytechnics, colleges of education, and colleges of agriculture. The annual policy meeting serves as a platform where admission guidelines and minimum entry benchmarks into Nigerian higher institutions are deliberated and finalized. More details on the 2025-2026 admission process are expected to be released by JAM in the coming days. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has suspended its planned strike after the federal government paid June 2025 salaries to university lecturers. Chairman of the ASU branch of the University of Abuja, Dr. Silvanus Ugo, confirmed that members began receiving salary alerts before the union's 11:59 p.m. deadline on Monday, July 7th, halting plans to withdraw services. This comes hours after ASU's national leadership had instructed branches to enforce its no pay, no work resolution if payments failed to come through. ASU President Professor Chris Piwuna blamed the salary delay on deliberate actions by officials in the Office of the Accountant General, not the Give Me's platform, and warned against continued neglect of lecturers. The union also demanded the immediate release of the 10 billion naira balance from the 50 billion naira earned academic allowance owned by the government. While the payment temporarily eases tensions, ASU says the situation remains fragile and ongoing frustrations over welfare and funding. Now we move to the House of Representatives, where there has been an inaugurated a special committee to investigate the implementations of the Finance Act on the 5% user charge mandated under the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency FEMA Act 2007. And Chairman of the ad hoc committee, Francis Wave, said the assignment is focused on two key areas: the pre-act situation, which examines the original revenue template, and the post-act scenario, which delves into the current regulatory framework following the implementation of the Tax Act. The report.
The Finance Act and its relationship to the 5% user charge under the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency FEMA Act centers around funding federal road maintenance in Nigeria through revenue generated from the petroleum sector. The Act mandates a 5% user charge on pump price of petrol, diesel, and other petroleum products. This charge is intended to create a dedicated funding stream for road maintenance. The House has set up a special committee drawn from critical stakeholders to engage operators in the midstream and downstream sectors whose operations are directly impacted by the FEMA user charge.
Situation is so bad that even when these things happen, you have no compensation, no insurance, nothing to fall back on. So the nation is losing in every way. This situation cannot continue like that. We've got to change it for our country. We've got to change the narrative for our country.
Stakeholders, while allaying fears on the hazards faced in the discharge of their duties, assured of their commitment towards achieving sustainable development in the country.
It's very important for the socio-economic development of Nigeria and also national development. In doing so, we also ensure that we have roads that are fully well utilized, improves serviceability, and also durability and sustainability of our network to ensure socio-economic development.
Yes, it's a settled law by the Act, but I think we still need to go back and review and see what 5% means in today's business.
And it's a real privilege that of all Nigerians, you are invited to be part of this global exercise. So I want to implore all of us to put our best to ensure that this committee comes up flying with reasonable decisions that will see Nigeria moving forward.
The committee made it clear that the intention is not to increase the pump price of fuel, but just to take 5% from the existing price to maintain roads for Nigerians.
Even the tank farm owners are going to be beneficiaries. It's a win-win situation. And for the ordinary Nigerian, we have better roads to ply. And government can now apply other resources to constructing new roads and other social infrastructure. But for existing roads, we must be able to fix it from the provisions of the law.
The committee is expected to submit its findings and recommendations to the House Ad hoc Committee by Monday, the 14th of July.
This is news updates on Trust TV coming up after the break. Nigerians flood victims seek relief amid calls for better preparedness. More news when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the news update on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories once again. Police confirmed 2 dead in Adamawa communal violence. And 8 killed as bandits ambushed Kokawa village in Wase local government of Plateau State. Moving on to more stories. Now, police officers in Enugu State have decried the deranged state of their barracks, highlighting the absence of water, electricity, and sanitation. A viral video exposing the crumbling facilities has stripped public outrage. Officers warned that the neglect could erode morale and compromise effective policing. Now, Nigeria's federal government has been called upon to prioritize climate resilience as well as disaster preparedness as part of broader measures to reduce incidents of flooding and its impact on communities. The call comes on the heels of recent flood disasters in Niger, Borno, Adamawa, and other states, where heavy rains and overflowing rivers banks have wreaked havoc and exposed the lack of preparedness by authorities to prevent the occurrence of such disasters. Trust TV Aisha Haruna has more.
From the flood-prone plains of Adamawa and Borno in Nigeria's northeast to Mokwa in Niger State, the story is the same. Environmental degradation, blocked waterways, and indiscriminate waste dumping are pushing communities deeper into crisis. In Adamawa, hundreds have been displaced following heavy rainfall that overwhelmed already clogged drainage systems in Yola and its surrounding communities.
What is happening in this area, we don't find it funny. We don't find it funny, more especially when rain is coming. Even no matter where you are, so long as you see rain is coming, you don't have rest of mind. You must know how to come back home. Because if rain meets you outside, is a problem. It's a very big challenge for us living in this area.
Call on the government to come and see with their own eyes what is happening. Because there are a lot of issues that people raise. If you go around, when you are coming in, there is a bridge down there. Actually, you will see the water there is blocked.
The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, warns that over 5,000 people remain at risk of further displacement as rainfall continues in the coming weeks. NEMA says the situation worsened by human activity, blocked water channels, indiscriminate tree felling, and poor waste disposal. The agency says it is coordinating with local authorities to evacuate families and distribute relief materials.
Part of the recommendation that we have made in our presentation at the stakeholders engagement, that the state government should ensure that they have identified safer places. Well, when it happens, we are not praying for it to happen. But when it happens, it's part of the responsibility of state government to identify safer, comfortable, decent place that these people can be moved for the meantime.
In Borno, years of deforestation driven by insurgency, firewood harvesting, among others, have left the soil bare and unable to absorb water. With garbage routinely being dumped into drainage systems, flash floods are becoming both more frequent and deadly.
We lost
our homes after the devastating flood displaced us from our community. Currently, we have nowhere to go. I have a family. We are struggling to put food on the table. We want government to come to our aid.
In Niger State, recent floods in Mokwa wreaked havoc as torrential rains caused the river to overflow, submerging roads and sweeping through homes.
I was asleep when my wife woke me up, screaming before I could reach the door. Flood water forced it open and knocked me down. I rushed to save our livestock as water swept away homes. 35 of us had to break a wall to escape. Now, my family and I are scattered. Some are sheltered in a distant primary school. Though we received some relief, rebuilding our lives, especially in this economy, seems nearly impossible.
Experts say these disasters are no longer isolated as climate change is driving internal migration, forcing people like Muhammad and Idris from their homes. They expressed concerns over the escalating threat of climate-induced migration and its challenges.
Once there is flood, it destroys a lot of things. It destroys farmlands, which is a major source of livelihood to people, to Nigerians, for instance. And once that is destroyed, people will have to move because it also destroys lives and other property. So people have to move to temporary shelters or to other neighboring communities to host them. And like you know, those communities could not even get enough. And these people that are coming now become an overburden to the scarce resources that that community is managing. And that brews tension. And that is where crisis now sets in. And you start having communal, problem. And before you know it, that host community start migrating again, now displaced. And they are now called, the climate refugee. That is, though it's an unofficial phrase, but it's just used to depict the situation that people are forced to leave their communities as a result of climate crisis.
Desertification and land degradation have seriously reduced arable land. This is contributing to food insecurity, as we know, contributing to climate and conflicts, over scarce resources. So this rising temperatures and erratic rainfall equally impact on water availability, and this further strengthens communities and actually accelerates the level of displacement.
Dr. Michael further said, Nigeria is currently unprepared to address the climate-induced migration, noting that there is no specific policy which tackles the link between climate change and internal displacement of people. He stressed the need for governments to invest in early warning systems.
At the immediate term, government needs to invest, heavily in early warning systems. It shouldn't just be once in a year or once in a while that we go on air to issue, seasonal weather predictions. We need to do more by downscaling to communities. The emergency preparedness should be actually at the community level and not just coming to the media in Abuja to read statistics.
Each year, more Nigerians like Muhammad and Idris are displaced not by war, but by worsening weather. Their stories underscore a growing global emergency, one that demands urgent local, national, and international action. To safeguard its future, Nigeria must prioritize climate resilience, strengthen disaster preparedness, and ensure no one is left behind. Aisha Haruna reporting for Trust TV.
In business. Now, despite federal government's efforts to curb the menace of gas flaring, Nigeria lost 15,400 gigawatts per hour of power generation potential in 5 months between January and May 2025. This represents a 17.5% increase when compared to 12,700 gigawatt generation losses suffered in the corresponding period of 2024. Now, data obtained from the latest report of the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSTRA, puts the monetary value of the 539.2 million cubic feet of flared gas during the period at $154.1 million. According to Nostra, the defaulting companies, including the international oil companies, were liable to fines amounting to $308.1 million, providing a further breakdown of the volume of gas flared across oil fields. Nostra disclosed that flaring by companies operating onshore rose by 10% to 102.4 million cubic feet against 51.7 million cubic feet flared by companies operating offshore. Away from Nigeria, the death toll from catastrophic flooding in central Texas has surpassed 100 as rescue teams continue their desperate search for missing persons swept away by the rising waters. Among the dead are at least 27 girls and counselors who were attending a youth summer camp along the Guadalupe River when floodwaters surged during the 4th of July holiday weekend. Emergency responders, including helicopters, boats, trained dogs, and over 1,750 personnel, remained deployed across affected areas, with forecasts warning of more rainfall on already saturated ground. President Donald Trump announced plans to visit the state on Friday, while the White House pushed back on criticism over alleged budget cuts to weather agencies. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called the claims a depraved lie, insisting the National Weather Service had issued timely and precise forecasts and warnings. Trump described the event as a 100-year I beg your pardon, Trump described the event as a 100-year catastrophe that nobody expected, despite previously advocating for states to manage disaster response immediately. He signed a major disaster declaration unlocking federal relief fund. And in sport, Rangers have announced the signing of Segun Oloruntoba from Lobi Stars. Oloruntoba signed a 2-year contract with the 8th-time Nigerian Premier Football League (NPFL) champions. Rangers have been bolstering their squad ahead of the 2025-2026 season. The winger expressed his excitement after making the move. The defender Evans Ogbonda has also committed to a 2-year contract at the club. The Enugu club finished in 10th position in the NPFL last season. With that, we've come to the end of News Update on Trust TV. You can watch this and more on our social media platforms and also stream live on our YouTube channel. I am Niemena Bagudu. Good evening.